Welcome to my channel Alien Signal, the lecture hall of civilizations. The lecture hall aboard the Horizon Spire was designed to humble entire species. Its vaulted ceiling shimmered with projected constellations from 1,000 mapped galaxies. Rows upon rows of floating platforms curved in a wide arc around the central dais, each holding students from worlds so different that even gravity had to be adjusted in localized fields. Some students drifted in nutrient mist, others perched on crystalline limbs, a few rested in pressurized exosuits filled with liquid atmospheres. At the very back row, in standard gravity and standard air, sat a single human girl. Her name was Alara Mirov. She looked unimpressive by galactic standards. 2 arms, 2 legs, fragile skin, no natural armor, no visible weaponry. The other students rarely glanced at her for long. Humans were new to the Concordium. New species were curiosities at best, statistical anomalies at worst. At the center dais, Professor Talrin adjusted his luminous mantle. His species resembled towering translucent spires, light pulsing within them like contained lightning. His voice resonated through the hall as harmonic vibrations translated into every known language. Today, Talrin intoned, we conclude our unit on environmental classifications of sentient origin worlds. A massive projection ignited above him, swirling planets in hues of red, green, and violet. For centuries, he continued, civilizations categorized planets by survivability index, temperature extremes, atmospheric toxicity, tectonic volatility, apex predator density. The image zoomed in on several notorious worlds, planets whose names evoked catastrophe. Among early interstellar societies, a myth persisted, a dramatic exaggeration born of fear. His inner light flickered in faint amusement. The concept of the Deathworld. A ripple of low laughter echoed through the hall. Such worlds, Talrin explained, were believed to produce unusually resilient, aggressive species due to extreme evolutionary pressures. However, modern science has disproven this primitive thinking. Adaptation occurs gradually and uniformly. No environment uniquely manufactures superiority. The projection shifted to a clean diagram. There are no Deathworlds. Only varying conditions and statistical survivability thresholds. The myth persists only in outdated fiction. Another murmur of agreement swept the chamber. Alara's fingers tightened slightly around her stylus. Earth flashed briefly on the display, classified as Category 3B, moderately hazardous biosphere. Not remarkable, not extreme. Talrin's voice resonated again. Questions before we adjourn. Silence settled. Then, at the very back, a hand rose. Small, human. Talrin's inner light brightened with polite curiosity. Yes, the human delegate. Every gaze in the chamber shifted toward Alara. She swallowed once. Professor, may I ask something about the survivability metrics? You may. You said no environment uniquely manufactures superiority. That adaptation is gradual and uniform. Correct. Alara stood, her voice steady despite the hundreds of alien eyes fixed upon her. Then how do you account for rapid post-catastrophic diversification events? Or species whose baseline stress tolerances far exceed galactic norms? A murmur rippled again, this time edged with intrigue. Talrin's tone remained calm. Anomalies exist, but they do not validate myth. Alara nodded. Then may I present a case study? The hall grew very quiet. Talrin hesitated only a fraction of a second. Proceed. Alara accessed her terminal. The projection flickered, replacing the clean academic diagrams with something far more chaotic. Earth. Not the sanitized Concordium version, but raw data. Meteor impacts. Supervolcanoes. Ice ages. Mass extinctions, plagues, predator-prey density charts, tectonic plate boundaries glowing like cracks in a fractured shell. Professor, she said quietly, with respect, there are no Deathworlds. A pause. She looked up at the vast chamber. There are only worlds that haven't tried hard enough. Middle, the case for chaos. A soft wave of disbelief swept through the students. Talron's light dimmed thoughtfully. Explain. Alara inhaled. Earth has experienced 5 confirmed mass extinction events, she began. Each eliminated between 50 and 96% of all life. Gasps, clicks, harmonic tones, alien equivalents of shock. She zoomed in on one dataset. The Permian-Triassic extinction, estimated 90% marine species loss. Atmospheric toxicity spike, massive volcanic outgassing, global temperature shifts. Another projection, a meteor impact simulation. 66 million years ago, an asteroid impact equivalent to billions of nuclear detonations reshaped the biosphere. She let the numbers linger. Life didn't stabilize, she continued. It restructured. It diversified under stress. Repeatedly, a 4-limbed avian student lifted a wing. Catastrophic events are not unique to your world. Correct, Alara said, but frequency and recovery speed are. She shifted to biological comparisons. Baseline predator density on Earth exceeds Concordium median by 240%. Microbial pathogenic diversity, nearly double average. Seasonal variation, extreme across hemispheres. Surface temperature swing, over 100 degrees Celsius across regions. Talron interjected. These are survivable parameters. For us, Alara replied. The words hung in the air. She tapped again. A new dataset appeared. Human physiological markers. Average human immune response time. Bone density relative to gravity. Muscle fiber recovery rates. Stress hormone regulation. She turned toward the audience. We evolved persistence hunting. We outlasted prey through endurance, not strength. We developed social cooperation under constant threat. She hesitated before the next display. War. Not glorified, just data. Casualty numbers. Reconstruction timelines. Technological leaps following destruction. Our history is not peaceful, she said softly. But conflict accelerated innovation. Scarcity accelerated agriculture. Disease accelerated medicine. A crystalline student emitted a skeptical chime. You argue that instability is beneficial. I argue, Alara replied, that repeated existential pressure reshapes cognition. She brought up psychological research. Humans show high adaptability under stress. Creativity spikes under constraint. Social bonding intensifies during crisis. Talron's internal light pulsed slowly. Correlation is not causation. No, Alara agreed. But pattern is pattern. She enlarged the image of Earth's tectonic plates. We never had geological stability. Continents drift. Volcanoes erupt. Storm systems grow into monsters large enough to swallow cities. The projection shifted to hurricanes viewed from orbit, vast spirals of fury. Our oceans hide predators larger than most Concordium cargo ships. Our deserts kill through dehydration. Our polar regions kill through cold. She looked around the hall. And we call it home. Silence. Alara's voice softened. You say there are no deathworlds. That adaptation is uniform, but Earth never let us plateau. Every time we reached equilibrium, something shattered it. She paused. We didn't evolve in safety. We evolved in survival. Talron regarded her carefully. And you believe this produces superiority? No, she said immediately. It produces resilience. The word carried weight. A long-bodied amphibious student spoke from a humidity field. If your world is so volatile, why did it not exterminate you? Alara smiled faintly. It tried. Soft laughter, nervous this time. She continued. The point isn't that Earth is uniquely deadly. It's that constant unpredictability forces adaptability. We expect change. We prepare for disaster. We assume systems will fail. Talron dimmed his luminescence in contemplation. Your argument, he said slowly, suggests that the classification model underestimates evolutionary acceleration under repeated catastrophe. Yes, and that the term, Deathworld, is misapplied, not myth, but misunderstood variable. Alara nodded. Worlds don't create warriors, they create survivors. But some worlds demand survival more often. The chamber had grown utterly still. Talrin pulsed with complex light patterns, processing. Provide a predictive model, he said finally. If your hypothesis is correct, human adaptability metrics should exceed Concordium averages in simulated instability scenarios. Alara hesitated only briefly. I can demonstrate. The simulation. The hull darkened as a live simulation initialized. A multi-system failure scenario appeared. Power grid collapse, atmospheric contamination, infrastructure breakdown, resource scarcity. Standard Concordium species profiles were input first. Survivability projections hovered around 40%. Next, human baseline. The numbers recalculated. 58%. Murmurs. Talrin adjusted variables. Extended duration. Secondary failures. Concordium average dropped to 21%. Human projection stabilized at 34. A tremor of unease rippled through the hull. Talrin increased difficulty again. Multi-regional disruption with communication blackout. Human survivability dipped, but did not collapse. The simulation's final outcome displayed in bold luminescent text. Adaptive recovery probability. Above mean. No one laughed now. Alara exhaled slowly. She had not come to boast. She had come to clarify. Talrin's voice resonated quieter than before. Your species anticipates instability. Yes. You build redundancies. We try. You assume failure. We plan for it. Talrin's light flared softly. Then perhaps, he said, the myth of the Deathworld was not exaggeration, but incomplete theory. Alara shook her head gently. There are no Deathworlds, she said again. A pause. Only living ones. And, a new classification. The debate did not end that day. It spread. Across academic networks. Through policy chambers. Into military simulations and exploratory divisions. Data requests poured in from a dozen species wanting Earth's environmental archives. The Concordium revised its models. Not to glorify danger, but to account for it. Months later, the lecture hall filled again. Talrin stood at the dais, projection active behind him. Alara Mirov, he announced, step forward. She did. Behind him, the environmental classification chart shimmered. A new modifier had been added beneath planetary categories. Volatility index. Evolutionary catalyst variable. Murmurs of recognition echoed. Talrin's inner light shone bright and clear. Your thesis has prompted re-evaluation of long-standing assumptions. The Concordium acknowledges that repeated systemic disruption may accelerate adaptive complexity. He paused. The term, Deathworld, remains scientifically imprecise. A faint smile touched Alara's lips. But, Talrin continued, the concept of environmental catalytic pressure will be integrated into all future classifications. He inclined his luminous form toward her. You have altered galactic academia. The hall, once dismissive, now hummed with respect. As Alara returned to her seat, a thought settled quietly within her. Earth was not special because it was deadly. It was special because it endured. And so did they. Later, alone by an observation window overlooking a tapestry of stars, Alara recorded a message for Earth's Scientific Council. They didn't believe in Deathworlds, she said softly. Maybe they're right. She watched distant suns burn in silent brilliance. It's not about death. It's about life refusing to quit. Behind her, the Concordium station pulsed with activity, species collaborating, theories evolving. Change, she thought, was universal. Some worlds simply taught it sooner. She placed her palm against the transparent alloy. There are no deathworlds, she whispered. Only worlds that test you. And those that pass. Far across the galaxy, in lecture halls and research labs, a new generation of scholars would study instability not as an error, but as a force. And somewhere in the archives of the Concordium, a footnote would remain. Human Delegate Mirov, Ilara, catalyst for model revision. The galaxy had not been shocked by human aggression. It had been startled by human perspective. In the vast silence between stars, that distinction mattered. And Earth, restless, storm-racked, ever-changing Earth, continued to spin. Alive. Thank you for listening. Subscribe for more cinematic science fiction stories.